Hey everybody, it's Janine here from the Wealth Building Academy, and today I wanted to walk you through the changes to CMHC mortgage insurance that are coming into effect on July 1st, 2020. Now in this video, I'm going to walk through the three major changes and compare the old rules to the new rules, so let's dive in. Now the first thing to note is that CMHC insurance is required for homes purchased with less than 20% down or homes that are valued at over $1 million. Now the first rule that is being changed is the amount of gross income you're allowed to use for your mortgage payment, property taxes, half of your condo fees, and your heating. So originally this amount was 39%, and this actually to me is fairly high. I think gross income is not a great measure of this because that's not actually the amount that's deposited into your bank account, but that's a story for another time. And if you include your credit card payments and car payments, this number is actually allowed to go up to 44% under the old rules. Now with the new rules, the first amount can only be up to a maximum of 35% for your mortgage payment, property taxes, heating, and half of your condo fees. And the second number is dropping down to 42% for things that include your credit card payments as well as your car payments. So remember that these are the maximum numbers that you should be looking to have included. I think maybe these could be reasonable if you do have a lot of commission income, or if you are paid from another foreign jurisdiction, then maybe these numbers could be applicable. But if you are a regular T4 salary employee, you may want to look at actually only having about 30% of your net income, so the amount deposited into your bank account, go towards those housing costs. I believe Gail Vaz-Oxlade came up with this rule many years ago, and it's a great one to follow for new homeowners. Now, the second rule that's coming into effect is a rule around credit scores. I actually didn't know this was a rule that needed to be followed and applied to, I guess. Under the old guidance, you needed a minimum credit score of 600, and now you're actually going to need a credit score of 680. So they've actually increased this by quite a bit, which I don't know if I agree with, because I think credit score can be manipulated fairly easily based on the 5 different factors that come into calculating your credit score. Now those factors are your credit history, the length of time that you've had your credit card, as well as the payments you've made, whether or not there has been any new applications on your file, the type of credit you're using, and ultimately your credit utilization. So if you are interested in learning more about your credit score, I will go ahead and link Borrowwell in the description section below, as I think they have some great tools and offer free credit scores and credit reports for Canadians. I've been using them for a number of years. This is not sponsored. They are just something I use on a monthly basis to make sure that my credit score is where it needs to be. And last but not least, I think the most important rule is the changes to the down payment rule around borrowing. So previously you were actually allowed to borrow to obtain your down payment. You need a minimum of 5% down on a home and 10% on anything after $500,000. That being said, you could leverage a line of credit, or even worse, a credit card, to fund this down payment, which can be incredibly dangerous if you aren't able to pay off that credit card in full. Now, with the new rules, you're actually required to show where this money is coming from. You need to be able to show that it is either from proceeds of a sale or a gift, or perhaps self-funded from your savings. So I think this one will actually really help a lot of Canadians in the long run. It may disqualify some in the near term, but ultimately the hope is that people aren't getting in over their heads and ultimately seeing foreclosure or not being able to pay their mortgages. As we've seen with this pandemic, there have been a lot of mortgage deferral applications. So I think it's wise that CMHC is actually tightening the rules on Canadians owning houses. And if you can't afford a house under these new rules, I think it's important to be okay with that and continue working towards that as a financial goal. Remember that you're in this for the long term, and whether you buy a house now or in 2 years probably doesn't make that much of a difference. And anyone that tells you renting is a waste of money is, again, maybe not the smartest person to be listening to. You can find tons of articles. You can read lots of books. I think The Wealthy Renter is a great book for people that are feeling that way on why renting can actually be more financially prudent. Obviously, there are other things that come into effect when wanting to buy a home, such as the emotional burden and the emotional connection to owning a home, which I totally get. But you need to be mindful about keeping yourself in a good financial position so that you don't end up foreclosing on the home of your dreams. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And if you have any questions about the new CMHC rules coming into effect on July 1st, please leave them in the comment section below, and I will see you next week.